Weekdays with Bernie segment tonight, as we mentioned in the Talking Points memo, the president has made somewhat of a comeback in the polls after a State of the Union address last week, but he remains on the defensive after the Massachusetts vote. And so some of the right-wing media have stepped up their attacks on President Obama, but are they now over the top? Joining us from Miami, Fox News analyst Bernie Goldberg. Now, Bernie, is there any value of us, you and me, criticizing people who simply think President Obama, or President Bush for that matter on the other side, are evil, destructive men? I mean, that's what they sincerely believe, and you're not going to shake them out of that belief. That's what they believe. Right. So should we even bother criticizing them?
It doesn't take Bill's body language expert, Tanya Ryman, to realize he's lying like crazy here. Watch his eyes avoid direct contact with the monitor delivering Bernie's face to his studio. No wonder why. Search the internet for Bill O'Reilly Bush haters and you'll get pages of hits. Here's a link to a January 3rd, 2006 Talking Points entitled Showdown Time for the Bush Haters. Here's another link from September 7th, 2006 entitled How the Bush Haters Are Hurting America. Then there's a mashup of his Bush hater bashing on YouTube. I'll give you a sample.
Unresolved problem segment time. One of the reasons the USA's image is so bad all over the world is that some American celebrities personally attack the President of the United States in crude, often immature ways. This kind of stuff is rejected, I should say, by most sane people. But gullible people absorb it. The hate Bush rhetoric has now reached absurd levels. Here's a look.
The big question is, everybody goes, is America ready for a black president? Well, I say, we just had a retarded one.
The man is a rube, he is a dolt, he is a yokel on the world stage, he is a Gilligan who cannot find his with two hands.
Everything in Washington has been a lie. Weapons of mass destruction was a total lie.
Joining us now from Los Angeles, reaction is celebrity reporter Jeannie Wolf. So the President of the United States is a murderer, a terrorist, a tyrant. And people all over the world see this and hear this.
This is a highly emotional time.
Doesn't matter. There's a responsibility that every American has to his country, his or her country. Every American has a responsibility to his or her country. These people are grossly irresponsible. Most of them are downright stupid. If they were here where you are right now, I could reduce them to rubble within 2 minutes. Joy Behar doesn't know what she's talking about. Richard Gere has no clue. He was booed off the stage at Madison Square Garden right after 9/11. Chris Rock would last about 35 seconds with me. To Bill Maher's credit, he comes on and discusses the issue. Now, I want to get into one more topic.
I hear your frustration, and you are advocating, calm rhetoric at the same time when you're name-calling. All of us are frustrated by this.
I didn't call anybody a name. I described what their actions were. I didn't call anybody a name. Most of them are downright stupid. That's a big difference. The Hollywood pinheads, you don't hear it. You hear garbage, irresponsible garbage, and I'm teed off about it, and they better knock it off, or I'm going to go see it.
So the question here is Bill deliberately lying, or is he so self-deluded he actually believes what he's saying about leaving both sides alone, now that we're in a context where his buddies on the far right are getting criticized by a fellow conservative for going too far?
Yes, yes. When George Bush was president, people on the left, on the hard left certainly, wouldn't have given him credit if he had found a cure for cancer. Everything George Bush did, everything, was wrong. And now we see people on the hard right behaving just like the crazies on the hard left. And that really bothers me, and I'm not a fan of Barack Obama.
Okay, but let me stop you there, because when I was out on the road over the weekend, and we're going to show some clips of that later on in Tampa and South Carolina, there were people there. There were a lot of people there, a lot of political spectrum. It ranged all over the place. But there were people there who absolutely sincerely believe that President Obama is a socialist who wants to impose a different system on the United States of America. He wants to change what our fundamental constitutional rights have been. They believe that, Bernie. Now, shouldn't they have a voice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to take their right to criticize the president for any reason at all away from them. I'm saying that when they or when professional commentators, by the way, commentators don't have to be balanced, but they do have to be fair. So if they ignore all sorts of stuff because it's one of their people, I'll give you an example. George Bush gets us into a war in Iraq. Reasonable people can disagree about that. But we've been nation building in Iraq, thanks to George Bush, for years and years and years now. But the right, conservatives on the right, went deaf, dumb, and blind because George Bush was their guy. Barack Obama says an obvious slip of the tongue, says there are 57 states, and they turn that into a federal case. He says he puts Dijon mustard on his hamburgers, and they turn that into a crime against humanity. I'm telling you, the hard right is behaving more and more like the hard left, and that is very, very troublesome.
Okay, why is it troublesome? If you have commentators on radio and television who believe that they can make a good buck running down a president who's controversial in the eyes of some, evil in the eyes of some, they come in and they say, you know, I really believe it. I believe he's a socialist. I believe that, you know, there's nothing good about him, so I'm going to run him down, and I'm going to make a lot of money doing it, because you can make a lot of money doing it. So what's wrong with that?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? This is particularly funny in the broader context of Fox News, and in light of him mentioning the Bold Fresh tour he and fellow Foxy Glenn Beck did to fleece the flock. Papa Bear, our cultural warrior, who pretends with great sanctimony to be principled in all ways, is saying here it's all about the money. Is there no sense of irony in the man?
And here's the worst part. Their audience doesn't care a damn about credibility. Their audience wants it to be as unbalanced as possible. And if you want any proof of this, you check your mail tonight, and you check it tomorrow morning, and you will see that the Kool-Aid drinking portion of the audience, I hope it's a very small portion, but the Kool-Aid drinking portion is going to be all over me because I dared criticize their heroes.
Okay, there's some of that, but the fact that this program, which doesn't do the Kool-Aid thing, has been such a huge, huge success, shows you there are more people who feel the way that you do. There's got to be a little fairness in the presentation.
Pontius Pilate washes his hands.